Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. Please visit our website, cscatlanta.org, for a complete list of live and recorded events. If this is your first time participating, we invite you to complete a new attendee form to stay connected to all future programs.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the cooking class today. My name is Ashley Van Cise. I'm a chef and a registered dietitian. Today, our cooking class theme is immune boosting soup. So we can all use a boost in our immune system, right? And these soups are going to kind of help you get there. Although I do want to say, just by eating these soups alone, without also having a healthy diet, it doesn't work that way. So you have to have a healthy diet and then also eat soups that contain some of these immune boosters.
So, first soup we're going to focus on today is a curry, potato, and lentil soup.
Well.
So
check out all of these vegetables and colors in this soup. So we have regular yellow Yukon Gold potatoes. We have
sweet potatoes. We have fresh ginger,
lemon, cilantro, carrots, and this giant thing is a leek. So let's get started on cutting up some of these vegetables. So let's start with the leek. This one on my side here, I have already chopped off the root and these dark green parts. Here we go. I can show you. So when you need to wash this thing really well because the way that it grows up from the ground in these layers, and the dirt gets stuck in between the layers as it grows. So you can't just rinse the outside off with water. You're still going to have like pieces of dirt in there. So let me show you really quickly how to do this. This is how you would buy it in the store or at the farmer's market. You're going to take off the root end. There's a lot of dirt in this thing. There's like chunks. I got this from the actual grocery store, so you wouldn't think that it would be this dirty, but there's like chunks of dirt in there. And then I'm going to, only for this soup recipe, we're only going to use the white and the light green parts. So you can save this top part for vegetable stock, chicken stock. That's amazing in like a bone broth or a vegetable broth where you're going to strain it, because this is very fibrous and it's not going to have a good texture. So now I've got it to a more manageable size. I've already rinsed the outside. And I'm going to take my knife, and I'm not going to go all the way through, like 3/4 of the way through, so that the layers stay intact, but I can get to the inside. Check out how dirty this thing is in here. So when I start to open it up, I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's just like chunks of soil in there. I'm going to go back here to the sink real quick. And as I run the water on this, I'm just opening up those layers, and the dirt just comes right off. It's not really that big of a deal. But it's just amazing how the dirt gets caught in there. And we don't want to, that's not going to taste very good. So we got to get rid of all that. Okay, that's it. Now it's clean. I am going to remove this layer. This was the outer layer. It's really rough on the inside. It's been banged up a bunch. So I'm just going to put that in there. Now my cutting board and my knife have a little dirt on them, so I'm just going to rinse them really quickly with some water. Dry them off. And then we're ready to cut the leek. If you don't want to go through all that, you're like, that looks like too much work. I still have to make the soup now. I get it. Like, doing these extra steps sometimes are daunting. So if you don't want to go through the steps of cleaning the leek, you can just use a regular old onion in this, and it will still taste delicious. It'll still be immune boosting. But if you're looking to get a little variety and you already eat a lot of onions and you want just something that tastes similar but just a different type of vegetable, leeks are really, really nice. Okay, so now we're going to cut them up. I'm going to start with that, where I started to cut through, just bring that all the way through. Then I'm going to quarter them lengthwise, and then cut in the opposite direction. Whoops. Try not to do what I just did, which was fling them all over. But in terms of the taste, they have an onion flavor. It's not very strong. It's just really, really nice. Okay, one more to do here. Okay, so I talked about immune boosting is our theme today. And an immune boosting diet is a diet that contains lots and lots of colorful fruits and vegetables. You're going to include things like garlic, onions. Some of these vegetables are known, and spices are known to be anti-inflammatory. And we know that when your body has chronic inflammation, it has a hard time fighting illnesses. So by lowering the everyday type of inflammation that's not associated with like a bee sting or something, that's the good kind of inflammation. The bad kind of inflammation is when you have it like every day, chronic. So including some of those foods, or lots of those foods, that are anti-inflammatory in your diet will help boost your immune system. Okay, so that's complete. I'm gonna actually go ahead and just get this in the pan here. So this is our pot for the soup. Get this turned on. This one. Come on. There we go. Okay. So I've got it at like a medium temperature. I'm going to add some olive oil. Your recipe says coconut oil. You can use coconut oil if you'd like. Any of the healthy oils will work for this recipe. So coconut oil, olive oil, you could use avocado oil, any of those neutral flavored oils will be great. Just spreading that out around the pan. I want to get this oil heated up a little bit before I add anything. That helps with creating sort of like a nonstick surface, and it helps the vegetables cook without absorbing all that oil. All right, so these go in. We have kind of a large volume of leeks going in here, more than what you would get if you cut just one onion. So I would say if you're going to substitute for an onion, I would use like one whole. Your recipe says 1 cup diced onion. I don't know. I would use like 1 medium onion, or a little more is fine. These are going to cook down quite a bit, but so will the onion. All right, so let those go for a few minutes while I work on the other ingredients. I'm going to turn it down so it's like at a low medium, because I don't want this to burn. This is sort of like a little more delicate than an actual onion. Okay, so let's start working on the carrots now. When you buy carrots in the store, I like to buy the ones that have the green tops, and where the green tops look nice and green, as if this has just come out of the ground. If the green tops are kind of wilted, then you know that the carrot it's not necessarily bad, it's just that the carrot is a little bit older and might not be as sweet. So I find that the ones with the tops are very fresh and they're extra sweet. I'm going to take off those tops, and then you can peel these if you want to. I think I'm not going to peel them today. It's mostly based on like how you want it to look in the soup. I don't think I'm going to notice. You just want to make sure you clean it really well if you're not going to peel it. So we're going to, let's see, I think I'm just going to cut these into rounds, just for speed. There are quite a few vegetables to chop in this recipe, so I would say if you like the way this soup sounds, if you like the flavors, you think, oh, that's going to taste good, then I would go ahead and make a double batch. That's the nice thing about soups, is that you can make a large quantity and they freeze extremely well. So you would just freeze it in a freezer bag or another type of freezable container, glass container. Leave a little room for the expansion as it freezes, and then when you thaw it, if it's in a plastic bag, you can just warm it up from thawed. You don't even have to plan ahead. I just kind of rip open or cut open the bag, put it in a pot completely frozen, and then just maybe add a little water to the bottom so it doesn't burn, and then reheat it from there. Okay, so that was our carrot. Now we're going to work on the ginger and garlic. Here's my garlic. Okay, so we have fresh ginger root. We know that this is anti-inflammatory as well as the ginger. So, the ginger and garlic. They kind of work together. And they make an amazing flavor. So I'm going to remove the skin first from all the cloves of garlic. I have 4 cloves of garlic here, so this is going to be garlicky, which I don't mind. But you could always reduce that if you're sensitive to garlic. I find it's much easier to chop more than 1 clove of garlic at a time. I'm actually going to save that and chop the ginger with it as well. So for the ginger, we need to remove this skin on here. There's several different ways you can do that. It's got all of these ridges, and it's not that easy to get at it with a peeler. So I find it's just very easy to go around the edges. This is my garbage bowl here. I'm going to do this over the bowl with a spoon. It's very thin, so it just comes right off. And let's see, for ginger we need only 1 teaspoon. So I think that's plenty of peeling. I'm only going to peel what I'm going to use right here. I don't want to peel it if I'm going to store it in the refrigerator. Okay, so that's plenty. Save that for something else. Okay. So this is the ginger. This is the garlic. They're very easy to mince together on the board. I feel like it's faster that way. And you're getting all the mincing done at one time. And we're going to add these at the same time into the soup, so it doesn't really matter. The smell is awesome. If you're trying to figure out another use, if you have extra ginger tea is amazing. And all you have to do for that is just slice your ginger up into rounds or chunks, let it simmer in some water, some filtered water, 5 to 10 minutes, and it makes like a really nice, add some lemon to it, some honey to it, a really nice drink. Great for when it gets really cold outside, and great for the immune system. Okay, so that looks really good. Now I've turned this down so much that it's not really cooking. So I'm going to turn it back up a little bit, give it a stir. I'm going to go ahead and add this garlic and ginger. You have to be careful with this though in the pan because it will definitely burn. So I'm going to put that in mind, turn it down a notch. Now I have a sweet potato, which I went ahead and already peeled. This is a red garnet sweet potato, which is a variety of sweet potato that has a really nice sweet flavor. So I'm just going to cut this into cubes. So large rounds first, then cut those into strips, then turn it. So you're making kind of a crisscross. Try to get some uniform shapes here, but it's not that critical. Helps to have a sharp knife, right? I actually did go and like take all of my knives. I didn't take all of them, but I think I had like, I don't know, 10 knives or something that I got sharpened. It makes such a difference. I live close to the Cook's warehouse, so I just took them over there. You drop them off. They think they pick up the knives like 3 times a week. So you drop them off, and then it usually takes like a couple days to get them back. So such a difference. Just, I don't know. If you're going to be in the kitchen, you want to try to eat lots of vegetables. It's just so much nicer to have a sharp knife. It just makes it so much nicer to cut. Okay,
I echo that.
Yeah.
Actually, I just recently sharpened mine. It was something that I let, go and wasn't keeping up with. And then the other day, my husband sharpened them, and I just chopped through a tomato like nothing.
Oh, I know.
It was
It's
such
like,
a good feeling.
it just puts a smile on your face.
Exactly.
Nice. Okay, so I'm not going to peel these Yukon Golds. They look really nice and clean. There is vitamins and minerals in the skin, so we'll keep those intact. Although you're not losing too much if you decide to peel them. So either way. So I'm slicing these into like plank size since they're smaller, then strips, then cubes. And I find it just goes really fast that way. And I noticed, I mentioned color for this. There's so much color and variety in the vegetables in this. It's just such a nourishing thing for the gut bacteria, which is also important for immunity, for immune system. So gut bacteria love to feed on, the good ones love to feed on all the different fruits and vegetables and the fibers within the fruits and vegetables. So color is really important. Okay, so we've got the potatoes in the pot. Now we're on to the spices here. So I'm going to turn up the heat because I know the rest of this is going to go pretty fast. I give this a stir. We're going to add the curry powder next. So curry powder is a mix of lots of different spices together. Let's see, this one has cumin, coriander, fenugreek, ginger, turmeric, dill seed, black pepper, red pepper, cardamom, mace, and cloves. And the thing the spice that's been studied the most in this mix is turmeric. Turmeric being anti-inflammatory. So since it's in this mix, you're getting it. About 1.5 tablespoons for the soup. You can do a rough measure. That's close enough. And then the next thing we're going to add, I'm going to stir that together. And then I'm going to add the vegetable broth. I'm getting messy here with my stirring. May mean I need a deeper pot here. Well, set this aside. Okay, so next up, I'm going to do the vegetable broth. This is a brand I like. It's called Imagine. This one is low sodium. That way I can control the sodium a little bit better. This one just has a really nice flavor and the ingredients are basically just vegetables. So it's a good one if you're going to buy it. Obviously, way better flavor if you have your own fresh made, but I don't have that today, so I'm just using box. One container of this broth has about 4 cups, so I'm not really going to worry about measuring it here. I'm just kind of looking for a full coverage on the vegetables. I want those to be totally submerged in the liquid because the vegetables are going to absorb a little bit. Some's going to evaporate, and then the other ingredient we have in this is lentils, and those are going to absorb quite a bit of liquid as they cook. So I'm just going to add a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and actually add these lentils in. So this is 1 cup of green lentils. They've been rinsed off. Come in a bag like this. These are super high in protein. Also have a ton of fiber. Great for that gut bacteria I was talking about. if you have, there's many types of lentils. You can substitute black lentils. You could even do red lentils in this. Red lentils will kind of break apart and they'll like sort of become one with the vegetable broth. So you won't really see them in there, but they still have a lot of protein, still have a lot of fiber, and they'll still taste delicious. So I think you could substitute any lentil in this if you don't have green. So we're going to bring this up to a simmer. I might add some more liquid later after this cooks. I'm turning up the heat here. And I think I've got it all for now. So once this, it's going to cook for like 20 to 25 minutes. And that's going to allow the potatoes to soften, the lentils to cook. The lentils are so nice because you don't have to soak these like other beans or legumes. And they cook really, really fast. Like 20 minutes is not a long time. And the potatoes need that much time to cook anyways. So those pretty much cook at the same rate. Okay, so this is up to a simmer. After it's done and the lentils are soft and the potatoes are soft, we're going to add some greens to this. This is just a package of baby kale. And I like buying kale this way because it's kind of like a shortcut. It's already been triple washed. You don't have to take the stems off. You don't even have to chop it. You can just dump it in. So if you're looking to add kale, but you don't want to do all that extra work to process it, you can buy it in these containers already ready to go, which is really nice. If you want to use like spinach or like Swiss chard or collard greens or bok choy, any of those greens are going to be really good in this recipe, and you can use them interchangeably. But we're going to wait till the end to add these in because they don't take very much time to cook in there at all. And that is that. We're going to flavor it with a little lemon juice also towards the end after we taste it. And we'll put some cilantro in it to garnish and for flavor as well towards the end. Are any questions popping up on that recipe?
And I'm going to put the recipe up right now.
Oh, you're going to put the recipe up so they can see it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let us know if you have any questions on this. Throughout the demonstration, you're welcome to type your questions into the chat box, and then I'll be able to answer them. Or you can even unmute yourself if you want to, and we can chat. All right, so I'll give you guys a minute to look at that. This is coming up to a simmer. It doesn't need to be going crazy like a super rolling boil or anything, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit. I'm going to set the timer on our cooktop here for 20 minutes. Let's see. Start. Okay, that works. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and if you have questions or think of questions, just let us know. I'm going to move over to the next recipe on the other side of the cooktop here. All right, so this other recipe is so fast, and I love it because if you're already feeling like you're getting sick, like you might be getting a cold or something, you're not going to have energy. You may not have energy to cut all these vegetables for, and you may not have this ready to go in the freezer. So this soup is very, very fast. There's not a whole lot of thinking involved. Especially if you already have the ingredients on hand, it just comes together very, very quickly. And it's a miso soup. And so there are a couple obscure ingredients, but they do have a long shelf life. So if you like getting miso soup in like a Japanese restaurant, you already know you like the flavors, you can buy these ingredients. Miso is something that you need to make this, as well as nori. So nori is a seaweed that is used to make sushi. So nori is like a traditional flavor in this soup, as well as miso. Miso you find in the grocery store, in the produce department, near the tofu area, where they have tofu. And then this sushi nori you find wherever they sell like Asian ingredients on the aisle. But both of these have a really long shelf life. I don't actually know if you store this sushi nori properly. I believe this keeps like a spice would. This keeps for like years. And then this miso I bought this for a recipe that we cooked maybe a few months ago in this cooking class. We used it to flavor some Brussels sprouts that we roasted. And so I have this from that cooking demo, and the best by date is until 2023. So anyways, if you like these flavors, these ingredients keep for a pretty long time. So let's get started with this. We're just going to use the same vegetable broth that we used in that soup. This is not traditional to a miso soup recipe that you would get in a restaurant, or but it's going to give us good enough flavor for this to, just like an easy way to make it at home. If you want to go more traditional on this, you can make something called a dashi, which is basically a broth made from bonito flakes. It's kind of complicated, but bonito flakes are like a dried fish. So it's not hard to make that kind of flavorful broth, but to go extra simple, we're just using a low sodium vegetable broth. It still has a really nice flavor. It's just not like a traditional way to make it. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up to a simmer. That was 4 cups. I already know, so I don't have to measure. It's kind of a nice thing to know. Like, these containers are always 4 cups. You don't have to like bring out a measuring cup to check that out. You can just pour it in. Then I'm going to get our miso ready to go. So I've got just filtered water in this pot right here. I'm going to just warm it up. It doesn't even need to come to a boil. It just needs to be warmed up. This soup is going crazy, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit, stir it. I can already see in this soup that we made earlier that it needs more liquid because those lentils have already absorbed a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit more of this, just so that I know that the lentils are going to absorb. They're going to have plenty of liquid there to cook. These 2 are going, let's see.
And you said that's filtered water? Is there a
Yeah. I just use filtered water in all soups because it's like you're drinking it, you're eating it just like you would be drinking water for, just throughout the day. So I don't know if you're going to drink filtered water, which you definitely should. I cook with it as well. The only time I don't use filtered water is if I'm going to drain it, like with pasta or something. Although, might as well use filtered water in that as well, too, if you have it. I don't know. Do you guys do that? Do you use filtered water in cooking? You should.
I'm getting some head shakes. No.
Okay.
Oh, Carol said she does.
Okay. All right. So miso, it's fermented. It has bacteria, like live bacteria in here. In the U.S., we don't think about, like, most people, I would say majority of people, some people probably do, but majority of people don't really think about eating fermented food just because it's not part of like the American diet mostly. So anyways, this is a fermented food. It's great for gut bacteria. And we should be trying to get more fermented food if possible on a daily basis. So this is one way you can do it. I'm going to put about 4 tablespoons, 3 to 4 tablespoons in this bowl. We have to kind of like reconstitute, or not reconstitute this, but we kind of make it into like its own little broth. And you don't want to add boiling water. Like, I already see this is coming up to a simmer, so I'm going to just turn it off. Let's see. So that we don't burn we don't want to get it too hot. Otherwise, is that going to turn off? Otherwise, it might destroy the bacteria, the beneficial bacteria in there. So this is just to a heat, it's not boiling, it's not simmering, it's just steaming a little bit, it's just hot. And I'm going to add this into the miso here. Then I'm going to whisk it. until it becomes like a paste or like a broth on its own. This is going crazy again. I don't know why. Okay. Okay, so miso, there's different types of miso. So like when you go to the store, this is a very popular brand. It's called Miso Master. It's organic. This one is made from fermented soybeans, organic soybeans. But if you're trying to avoid soy, you can also find chickpea, a version of chickpea miso, which is also like amazingly delicious. If you want to stick with soybeans, they are high in protein, and you don't need to avoid soy. This is a nice one. This one is called Mellow White. It has sort of like a mellow flavor. You can also buy red miso, which is a stronger version of the fermented soybeans. You can experiment with all of them. I think they're all pretty good. But chickpeas are nice if you are trying to avoid soy. Okay, so this is more of a paste now. This still hasn't come up to a simmer yet, so I'm just going to set this aside while I prepare the other ingredients for the soup. Okay, so let's do the nori. Let's open it. It comes in these giant sheets, just like you would need if you were going to make sushi. So it looks like this. It kind of has a green tint to it. We're just going to, you could even just like break it up with your hands, or if you want to be more precise, just slice it with your knife. But if it rips, it's no big deal.
Ashley, do you know anything about women with breast cancer needing to avoid soy? I have a question about that, if that's true or not.
So I'm not up on my current research with that. You would have to definitely double check with your doctor, with your dietitian on that, because I know some medications you definitely need to avoid soy with breast cancer and with other types of cancer as well. And I'm sure our dietitian here has discussed it, because it's definitely like a big topic, if you're at all concerned, just avoid it and get the chickpea. And I am going to add tofu to this because it's commonly found in miso soup. It's and tofu is made from soybeans as well. So just skip the tofu. You could add, if you're looking for a protein source in this, I mean, the miso actually itself, I was going to say has protein, but it doesn't actually have enough to be considered.
This is probably a good moment to say that we are going to have a nutrition seminar next week that is specific to breast cancer. So
okay. Oh, perfect. Oh, that was good timing. Look at this pot. That's hilarious. All right, don't let that go overboard here. I'm going to turn that down. This looks like a science experiment or something here. That is just the broth in there, but it does not need to be that ridiculous. These burners, for some reason, are giving me a hard time. Let me get rid of this water.
I'm putting up the information about that program next week.
Okay.
This is our whole breast cancer series we're doing this month with nutrition and genetics.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Anybody who wants that information will have that online, cscatlanta.org.
I've actually joined that session just to see.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I want to get up to date on all that stuff. I mean, I know it goes back and forth, so okay.
You'll have to chime in.
Yes. Okay, so here we go. This is at a simmer now. I'm going to prepare a couple of the other ingredients. So that's the nori. We only need one sheet. I've just cut it up a little bit. This is the tofu. This is a kind of a nice pack. I actually hadn't seen this before. It comes so that you can use just one of these half at a time instead of opening the whole container, because once the tofu is open, you kind of got to use it quickly. So I'm going to use a quarter or a half of one of those blocks. I haven't like pressed this tofu. If you're used to using tofu, I haven't pressed it or done anything special other than just draining it. So I'm going to cube it up cube it to the size that you'd like to have it in the soup. I'm going to go pretty small. This is the only one they had available was, there was like a run on tofu or something at Whole Foods because there was only like extra firm. That was like I was actually lucky that that one was available because they were pushed all the way to the back and everything else was empty. I don't know if there was like a recall or what happened. But anyways, we were lucky to get extra firm, which is totally fine. You can use firm, extra firm. And then the only thing you want to avoid is probably soft for this because it is not going to hold it's not going to hold its shape. So we're going to go ahead and let's see, add this tofu into the broth. It's simmering. Let it absorb some of the flavors of the broth. We're going to add in some green onion. I'm going to do 2 of these. This is a green onion, much smaller than the leek, but it has some of the same characteristics, although it doesn't get as dirty. So I think I'm just going to use the whole thing, all except for these very, very tops. Set those aside for a broth that you can make later. So I'm going to thinly slice the green onion. We will add that in. Your recipe does not mention cilantro, but I have a ton of extra cilantro since the other recipe, I had to buy it for the other recipe. So we're also going to add some cilantro in. This recipe is pretty flexible. If you want to grate some carrots, some grated carrots in there would be really nice. You want to pick things that cook kind of quickly, that don't need to be sauteed, because these are just cooking right in the liquid.
Ashley, we did have someone asked if miso and seaweed have high sodium.
Miso and seaweed. Yeah, miso, let's see, let's check the sodium here. So 2 teaspoons of miso has, yeah, so it is high in sodium, 310 milligrams. So you want to watch use the lower end 1 tablespoon. I mean, even 1 tablespoon may be too much for someone that's trying to eat a low sodium diet for heart health. So do your calculations, double check. I believe that would probably be too much for somebody that would be on a low sodium. And then for the nori, it does not. Nori has 0 in 1 sheet. Nori has no sodium. So nori is not a problem in terms of sodium. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add the nori in. I don't know, the nori definitely has like a smell of the ocean because it's a seaweed. It does remind me of sushi, which if you are a big fan of sushi, you can definitely make sushi at home. You only need a few like special things, a rolling mat, which actually you could do without, but a rolling mat makes it easier. You need the nori. But the only other ingredients are just rice, and you could just make them vegetarian with like avocado. We've done it at home at my house. It takes like a minute to get the hang of it. You have to make the rice get like sticky rice. But my son, who's 3, was obsessed, and I say would still be obsessed with sushi. And so we were buying it out at the store, but it was getting like ridiculously expensive. So we started making it at home. And it's been pretty doable. Okay, so anyways, all right, so we have the miso soup. We're going to let that simmer for just a little while longer, and then we're going to add the miso. And before we add the miso, we're going to take it off the heat so that it's not simmering, because remember, we don't want to mess up the good beneficial bacteria in here. We don't want it to get too hot. We also have these greens. So your recipe calls for half a cup of chopped greens, chard kale. I just ended up buying, so we're using the kale over there, but for this one, I thought we would try something different. This was a mix of, they're calling it protein greens, sweet pea leaves, baby spinach, baby bok choy, baby kale, mizunu, which is sort of like a different type of, well, it's kind of like a bitter green, as well as tatsao, which is similar to bok choy. So I thought that would be kind of a fun one to try here. All right, so I'm going to turn this off. But you see how quickly this comes together? There's not a whole lot of chopping. And I'm just going to kind of add a handful of this and let it wilt down in there. It wilts very fast. We said we were going to add some cilantro, so I'll go ahead and get that ready. Cilantro doesn't need to cook at all either. Just warm through. I've already washed this. I'm not going to take off the leaves off the stem. I'm just going to kind of gather it up, run my knife through it. That's probably plenty. We're not making a large volume of this, so keep that in mind. But you could definitely bump it up, double it, triple it. And then we have the miso that's going to go in. So, okay, let's pretend you want to avoid soy. We're going to switch our miso to the chickpea miso. We're going to take out the tofu. So if you're removing the tofu, that means you need another protein source in this meal. So I would serve it like with a side of seafood or fish, like salmon or shrimp or something like that. You could pop the shrimp into the soup if you want, or something like that. That's going to go along really well with the flavors of the seaweed, because the seaweed already, to me, tastes like the ocean. Okay, let me give it a taste and we'll see how we did. And then actually this has 1 minute on it. So almost time to get that one, finish it up. This is really good. Yeah, this is really, really good. I don't know. It has a different flavor than what you would get in a restaurant, but it's delicious. It's very, very flavorful with that miso in there. It's good. So I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to finish up this one over here. I just love the way that one comes together so quickly. All right, this one has thickened up quite a bit. I'm going to add some more liquid to it. If you don't want to keep adding broth, you could definitely, this has plenty of flavor already, so you could definitely go for water if you need more liquid.
Someone did ask Ashley if the kale makes the second soup bitter tasty.
I don't think so, especially if you're using the baby kale. I don't think it does. I wouldn't be worried about that. So I'm stirring this around. I can tell my timer is going off. Let's see. Turn that off. Still beeping. Okay. Doesn't like something. Okay, I think it's just telling me that it's hot. Okay, so I just turned this off. I need to get in there though and see if these, I'll go ahead and add the greens. I'm just gonna go ahead and add this whole thing. It looks kind of crazy at first, but we all need to eat more greens, and these wilt down a lot. So let me see if I can get this going back on if it'll cooperate here. Here we go. Okay, so these will wilt down here within a few minutes. And I need to get in here and see. I think these potatoes and carrots need a little bit longer to simmer. This is probably more than 4 cups. Let's see what we think this is. No, there's no measure. 5 ounces. I don't know. I don't know how many cups it is, but I would say it's probably closer to like 5 cups, which is totally fine. But it adds a good color. Don't worry about it being bitter. You don't have to go through and chop off the stems or anything like that from the kale. Okay, see how it already has wilted down a ton? and you're going to get a little bit of greens in every bite, but I don't think it's going to be too overpowering here. All right, let me cut up the cilantro, and then we'll finish it with a little lemon. And I didn't really add salt while I was cooking, and that was kind of on purpose, so we might need to add salt. The lentils, I find, absorb the liquid of the broth a lot better when there's not a lot of salt in the process of cooking. I don't know why, but I find that they get a lot softer if you salt at the end after they've absorbed the liquid, especially if you're using a saltier liquid like the low sodium, which is not salty, but it does, let's see, 140 milligrams in 1 cup. So, okay, now we're on to the cilantro. Let's give that a rough chop. I do like to add the cilantro and the lemon towards the end. Their flavors stick around better, whereas they seem to mellow out a lot if you add them during the cooking process, almost if like you can't even taste them. So, but this is looking really good. Let me see. Okay, this is a clean spoon. Let me taste these potatoes and carrots and things and see how they're doing here. And lentils, I should try those as well. So without burning my tongue off here, let me see. Okay. They're actually softer than I thought. I'm gonna put this in here. It does need some salt. So let's see, I'll do like a 1/4 teaspoon. See how that does. I'm gonna turn the heat off. Gonna add the cilantro. This is just a big handful. You could garnish with that, or you could just add it in. And then a big squeeze of lemon. Let's see, let's go this way with it. I just squeeze it over my hand, catch the seeds. Try not to spray it everywhere. This just makes the flavors brighten up a bit. It allows you to keep the sodium pretty low, or the salt rather pretty low, because it highlights the flavors. Everything kind of, all the other flavors kind of come up with the addition of a citrus or a vinegar, like lemon, or if you don't have lemon, you can do like just like a white vinegar or a champagne vinegar. Just brightens the flavors of everything. All right, and that is our soup. So I was looking around here in the kitchen for some serving bowls so that I could show you what it looked like. And the best I could do were these little these little dishes. So I'll show you out of the pot, which these actually, you know, you can see, since they're glass, you can see through. Even though soup is not normally served in glass, that's all right. You can see here. Where's a good place for me to put this to see the, in here, right here? Okay. Okay, so we've got the curried potato. Ooh, that spoon got a little dirty. Here we go. I'm gonna rinse this one off so I can serve the other one. And then we have the miso soup with all the greens. All right. There you have it, guys. Any lingering questions?
People are saying looks delicious, super healthy. It does smell delicious. I know you guys wish you were here to smell it.
I know. I feel like I was thinking about that actually while I was driving here. Miso soup is kind of like one of those things I wish you could have tried. You could try it, you know. It's such an interesting, unique flavor that just feels so like nourishing. It's a good one.
We've got a few minutes left. If anyone has any other questions, I'm going to put up that flyer again. That is next Tuesday, October 19th at noon. It will be a nutrition seminar specific to breast cancer, and all are welcome. Got a few questions popping up. Just people saying delicious, definitely going to try. Feel free to unmute yourself, guys, if you want to. If Ashley can hear you. All right, if there's no other question, I hope you all enjoyed today, and we will hopefully see you. Oh, Carol said, where do you get your knives sharpened?
Okay, I went to Cook's Warehouse, but if that's not convenient for you, they have a couple different locations. They also do it at Sur La Table, which is a cooking store. If that's not convenient to you, you can go to someone in the class that Cutco does any brand, so you don't have to do Cutco brand. So check out that location. I like to do it professionally. I mean, there are some ways to do it at home. Like, Emily, how did your husband do it? Did he use like a specific knife sharpener?
He did. We have one at the house. I know
Is it
that
like
they
electric or
no,
stone?
it was just
Like a stone, right?
stone, yeah.
Like a wet stone.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you can do that. There's a specific technique for that. But if you do, like, I don't have a whetstone, and so I just send them out. But I've also seen, and if anyone's tried it, let us know. There are some mailing ways that you can mail them. If you don't live close to a store that does it locally, let us know if you try one of those mail-in services. You can just Google like knife sharpening, and several will pop up. I have never tried that before, but I would be curious to know if anybody else has tried that.
Sounds very dangerous.
I know.
Yeah,
okay.
I know I've seen them at farmers markets too. They'll have a booth for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely a lot of options. Let us know what you've tried.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget our nutrition seminar next Tuesday, October 19th. And hopefully we will see you then. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. If you're interested in other live or recorded programs, please visit the online program tab of our website, cscatlanta.org. Or follow us on Facebook. We'll be sharing additional information on upcoming programs.